Hello guys, I'm Mr. A and welcome to Mr. A's production. So guys, today I'm gonna share with you how I created this night picture of myself from this picture. And before diving into Photoshop, a little disclaimer. This video is gonna be a bit longer, so kindly stay along. So let's dive into Photoshop. Alright guys, so this is the picture. If I scroll down and if I, switch off my subject and switch off the smart filter on the background, this is the background that I, basically downloaded from Unsplash. And this is myself. I cut myself out. Let me show you. It's a smart object, so main thing is somewhere else. So this is the main picture, and if I switch off the mask layer, this is the real picture of myself. Okay, so what I did is cut myself out with the help of quick selection tool, as well as specially using select subject, and then used lasso tool to refine the edges, as well as went into selected mask. The procedure. I won't show you that because it's tedious and it's not a speed art. Okay, so this is what it is now. Okay, see, the picture was this. Now I had to put extra tire. See, I put it up. I used curves to, brighten a bit so that I can look which parts could be, used. So yeah, after doing that, I needed to find the horizon line because both the background and the foreground image could have different horizon points. So I needed to determine that. For that, I believe you know the procedure, but if you don't, let me show you quickly. So if I switch this off, now as you can see, these are the roads lines. They are kind of parallel. So I'll go to lines, shape, fill 10, stroke. You might take no stroke, and okay, weight is 10. Now if I zoom in, I place the pointer here and then zoom back. And then click and drag. See, these are the lines along the lines. Okay, click and drag. Okay, this is one line. Likewise, I'll make another line, as you can see here. Okay, so I'll do this line too. And okay, so I got an intersection, right? So now I having the intersection. Let's point out the intersection. Okay, so here's the intersection. I'll press shift and press, so it will form a straight line. Okay, now you can see this is the horizon line of this image at this point. So this is all. I'll show you this. Come on, man. I'm gonna delete this. Okay, now this is the place of horizon line, so I placed a black dot so you can easily understand this is the point. All right, so this is how I determine the horizon point. All right, so let's place back. Okay, so I needed to find where is the horizon line of this background image. The same procedure, and you can see all these all these lines. Yes, so this is the point. So I know the point of the subject too. It's here, same place. So I place it. Okay, now what I did is, first of all, I needed to blur the background because I needed to make myself stay in the focus. First converted background into smart object, then went to filter, blur gallery, and tilt shift. Used two, one here and the other one here. Blur 15 pixels. Okay, now after doing that, I went to my subject and I needed to see the brightness level of both the images because I needed to match them. So for that I created check layers. First check layer is the brightness check layer to check the brightness or match the brightness. So I use a solid color layer, no matter what color you put, but it should be brightness 50, no hue, no saturation. So I used 50 brightness, basically 50% grain, put it into color blending mode. And now as you can see, myself is bit brighter than the background, but this shouldn't be the case. So what I did is I used curves to give myself a bit less brightness, and gradually decrease from the brightest side by clicking this point, as you can see, yes, this, and drag down. Okay, now as you can see, there are slight bright areas. Why? Because I inverted the mask and painted the places where I don't want the brightness. So in the hands, this all I needed, because front here it would be a bit light because street lights are there and all. Okay, then I used exposure and clipped it. All these will be clipped to the subject because it should affect only the subject, so keep this in mind. Okay, so I used exposure and gamma correction and all, and it looks pretty much good in black and white. Okay, now I'll switch off this check layer so it looks good, right? So I need to see the saturation, right? I'll create a check layer for checking the saturation. So I created a selective color. Make sure that you're in absolute, and then you'll go to in reds, decrease, blacks 100%. Same with yellow, green, cyan, blues, magenta. Now when you are in whites, increase black to 100%, including neutrals and blacks. Now there you go. And the brighter the areas are, the more saturated they are. Okay, like these lights, the glows around the street lights. Yeah, my t-shirt. Now if you come down here, I used hue saturation and I clicked this and it went to cyan, see? And I reduced the saturation so it matches now. And check this out, I use the blend mode saturation because I'm controlling the saturation only. Now as you can see, it looks much better now. Okay, so I needed to match the colors, and for that I needed to make a hue check layer. So what I did is, again, solid color 50% gray, and placed it in luminosity. Now you can see the colors, but it's not so prominent, so I used a hue saturation and increased the saturation, and this gives you the colors now, the background and the foreground color. Look, so matching them is a bit tedious, but it's easy too if you use a selective color. Clip it, and then as you can see, I used black, neutrals, and I believe no other. So these only two, neutrals and blacks, gave me this amazing color, and it matched perfectly. So my work of check layers is done. So now what I did is created a slight glow right here. I used solid color, kept it in linear dodge, add blend mode, then inverted, and then with this soft brush I created this highlight, right? Okay, now gradually what I wanted was these trail lights, they should have a bit brightness. So again, same, solid color, pick the color and used a bit of blend if to only make it visible in the brightest, not in the darkest. So I removed it from the darkest parts and then kept it in color dodge, then again, you know, inverted and painted places where I want to see the change in color. Then I again you know, duplicated the same solid layer, and again you can see it looks much more better now. Likewise, with more solid color, I created a bit of fog, you know, check this out, a bit of fog in the background with solid colors, inverted them, used blend diff, used linear dodge add. Okay, then I needed to, you know, give myself a bit, you know, light from the left hand side, bluish light. So again, solid color, and give it a bit of blend if. Here it is, remove from the dark parts. So you know the drill. So inverted it, painted the places where I want myself to be, you know, bluish in color, and I used photo filter. Same thing, but I didn't use blend if here. Now I needed to give a bluish, a yellowish light on the headlight of the bike. So I, again, the use of solid color, I created it, and then I created a bit of, you know, orangish color in the helmet, front fender of the bike and all, and used a bit of blend if, because these light trails obviously would, you know, give a bit of light, so I used that. Then now headlight, the bike needs a headlight, so it throws the light, and you know, with solid color I used it, and then masked and all, and I used feather and mask to feather it up, as you can see. Okay, then again I used a slight different color, lightish color, and then, you know, I just used the same mask. Okay, the headlight is done. Now it's about the tail lamp, same process. As you can see, I used solid color to, you know, make the tail lamp glow. So basically my subject is pretty much done. Now I needed to have a bit glow behind my back as the lights are falling, so obviously I had to be glowing. So I went to the background layer, used a you know, solid color, used a lightish bluish color, inverted it, and then used a linear dodge add soft brush, softly painted, and you can see a bit of glow behind. Now I used a different method of highlighting, giving highlight to the subject. So this is known as highlight channel pull method. So this is a bit tedious. I won't go into details because it will take a lot of time. So I gave the highlight, as you can see, matches, it looks much better now. I used the particles at the end. Okay, you can go in Google and type black particle overlays and you'd get a couple of them. So it looks like this now, and then background is also done. I grouped all of them separately and gave them their own, you know, groups, named them properly, and then I used all of them and created a stamp visible layer, converted it into a smart object. Yes. And then I went to filter, camera raw filter, and I'll show you what I did. Basic changes, as you can see, you know, a bit of contrast, highlight. I changed all these things, vibrance, saturation, calibration here in green and blue, then color mix, red, yellow, blue. These three only. You know, changed a bit in the curves, details, gave a bit of sharpening, and in the effects gave a bit of grain and vignette. Okay, and lastly color graded it. Highlights, shadows, midtones. In the shadows it's a bit of bluish, midtones is kind of reddish, kind of a bit of reddish, a bit orangish reddish. Okay, and the highlights is in a bit of yellowish. Now this all, and this is the end product, and then, you know, use the text and placed it here. So alright guys, so this is it. This is how I created this image of myself and converted it into a nighttime picture. So for today, I'll take your leave here. Stay safe and God bless you, and see you in my next video. Till then, bye bye and take care.